Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Thursday, April the 18th. I'm going to be covering the early slate in this video, the early MLB slate, 4 games. We're going to go through the pitcher player pool. We'll talk about some of the pitchers that I like. We'll look at 3 hitters that I'm targeting, and then we will talk about some of the stacks I'll be going to on this 4-game slate. This will be my first of 3 uploads today, so I'm doing 3 videos again on Thursday. MLB video for the early slate, which is what you're watching, MLB video for the main slate, and then an NBA video for the playoffs. So getting out 3 videos again today. Would appreciate if you would check them all out if you are planning on playing each slate. But let's go ahead and look at pitcher today on this early slate. So Patrick Corbin, the most expensive option, $10,300, and a great matchup with the Giants. It's really hard to not like Patrick Corbin here. It's a short 4-game slate, and he's really the only stud option over $10K. The next most expensive pitcher is Mike Soroka. He's not in the DK player pool right now, but it looks like he's going to be pitching today. He's $9,100, so he's the next most expensive option. And I don't think Soroka has the upside that Corbin has here, especially when you factor in this matchup. This is one of those spots where Corbin could go out and pitch 6-7 innings and get double-digit strikeouts. He was very dominant in his last start against Pittsburgh, going 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 11 strikeouts, 32 DraftKings points. I think we could see a similar outing out of Patrick Corbin here. It's a great matchup. It's a bad Giants team. It's a Giants team that has strikeouts in its lineup, and they have a low 3.3 implied run total, so it's a great spot for Corbin. He's clearly the best pitcher on today's slate, and I don't think you really get cute here and try and avoid him. I think you just plug him into your lineups today and then kind of work around him. But then SP2, I think there's multiple ways you can go, whether you want to really spin and pair Soroka with Corbin, you could do that. Michael Pineda is a guy that I really like. He's $8,200. I think he makes a really good option to pair with Corbin. If you pair Pineda and Corbin, that leaves you $39, $37 remaining per player, which you can definitely work around. There's a lot of good cheap bats I like the White Sox, I think, have some good bats. They're pretty cheap. 4K, Jose Abreu, $4,900. Tim Anderson's not that cheap, but Yoan Moncada, even though he's batting right-handed, $4,800. Jimenez, $3,800, I think is a really good play. Abreu, Jimenez, Wellington Castillo, even Luis Garcia are cheap bats you could look to versus Daniel Norris. On the other side, I think the Tigers are in a really good spot versus Ivan Nova. Josh Harrison's dirt cheap. Castellanos is only 4K. $3,500 for Miguel Cabrera, 4K for Goodrum, $4,100 for Christian Stewart. So Tigers bats are definitely appealing today, and they are very cheap as well. So you could definitely pair Pineda and Corbin today and still work around it. I like going to Pineda as an SP2. It's a great matchup for him, facing this Blue Jays team that really is just not a good offense, has strikeouts in its lineup as well, and they do have a low 3.7 implied run total. This is a great matchup for Pineda to finally kind of break out. So far this year, he's just kind of been mediocre in all 3 of his starts, especially when it comes to fantasy, just 17, 18, and 16 DraftKings points. I think Pineda finally eclipses 20 DK points here in this matchup. The fact that he threw 96 pitches in his last start is very promising. He's fully stretched out. If he's pitching well, he could potentially go 100-plus pitches here against this Blue Jays team. So really like Michael Pineda today. I think he's a great option to pair with Corbin. Those are kind of the guys I'm really looking to at pitcher. It's mostly going to be Corbin and Pineda for me, and then maybe some Mike Soroka. I don't really like Pomerantz. I don't really like Weaver. Nova, I'm probably going to be stacking against. Don't like him. Daniel Norris. Right now they got Tyson Ross pitching, but it's going to be Daniel Norris. I don't really want to play Daniel Norris at $7,700. Clay Buchholz, I don't want to play at $6K. So Corbin, Pineda, Mike Soroka, those are the 2 or 3 guys I'm really going to be focused on for pitching on this early slate. And then when it comes to bats, I told you guys I really like Detroit here versus Ivan Nova, and they have some very cheap bats. I want to start off with Nick Castellanos. I like him a lot in the outfield at 4K. Him and Nico Goodrum, I think, are really good plays. Both of them 4K. Both of them you can play in the outfield. You can also play Nico Goodrum at first base, but there's another first baseman I really like. But Goodrum and Castellanos, I think, are really good options here versus Nova. Nova just doesn't get strikeouts. He pitches to contact. He's just not a good pitcher. This is a spot where Detroit can really take advantage of this matchup. Nova's a guy that I picked on pretty much every start he's pitched this year. I think it was his last start, he got absolutely blown up, or maybe 2 starts ago, I think it was against Seattle. They put up 7 runs on him. I don't think Detroit's going to put up 7 runs on Nova, but I would not be surprised if he gives up a couple homers here, especially to a guy like Castellanos, Goodrum, 2 guys that do have lots of power. So those are 2 guys I really like. in the outfield that you can target for cheap. And then at first base, Jose Abreu, very cheap as well, 4K. Gets a matchup with Daniel Norris, lefty matchup, so he'll be facing a lefty, which is what Jose Abreu really excels in, is versus lefties, much better versus left-handed pitching than right-handed pitching. Daniel Norris, another pitcher I don't believe in, another pitcher I think is pretty bad, definitely a guy we do want to pick on, especially with righties. So Garcia, Anderson, Abreu, maybe Moncada, Jimenez, Castillo. Those guys I really do like, and a lot of them are very cheap. A lot of them are 4K or below. So I do like some of these White Sox bats, do like some of the righties for the White Sox versus Daniel Norris. I think Jose Abreu at 4K, first baseman, he definitely stands out. There are a lot of good first basemen for values though, or like cheap first basemen for value. I think Miguel Cabrera, 3,500, is a guy you could definitely look to. Abreu at 4K, I obviously really like. If you can pay up for Freddie Freeman versus Luke Weaver, you could look there. But Abreu and Miguel Cabrera, I think if you're going cheap at first base, you have Goodrum at first base. You can play him as well. Definitely a position where there's a lot of good cheap options. But these are my 5 plays for this early slate. Let's quickly go over some stacks, and then we'll talk about BVP before we end the video. So my favorite stack today is definitely the Tigers versus Ivan Nova. That's a team I'm really going to be loading up on. I think next favorite stack would probably be the White Sox. Just both sides of this game. Tigers, White Sox bats. I'm going to be loading up on both sides, and then I'll be sprinkling in some Twins bats. I'll be sprinkling in some Braves as well versus Luke Weaver. Maybe even some Nationals versus Drew Pomerantz, especially the righties like Dozier, Rendon, Zimmerman. I don't think I'll be full stacking the Nationals, but like the righties at the top of that lineup, mostly Rendon and Dozier, I like quite a bit. But Tigers, White Sox, Twins, Braves, those are the teams I'm going to be really focused on, especially these two teams in this late game. But now we'll quickly go over BVP before we end the video. So looking at BVP on this early slate, Yangervis Solarte's got some BVP versus Patrick Corbin. He's gone 6 for 16 versus him, a 375 average. Miguel Cabrera gone 6 for 20 versus Ivan Nova with a home run. So Miguel Cabrera is definitely a guy you could look to if you believe in BVP. I think he's a good play regardless of the BVP. But really like the matchup with Nova there. Nelson Cruz 5 for 15 with a home run versus Clay Buchholz. I do like some Twins bats versus Buchholz today. Nelson Cruz, obviously a guy you could look to. He's got pretty decent BVP against Buchholz in a limited sample. But that's it for BVP on the early slate, and I think that is it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did help you. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like before you get out of here. I would really appreciate it. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. And like always, if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments section below, or you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. And make sure you check out my other 2 videos that will be uploaded today. MLB video for the main slate will be uploaded after this, and then after that video goes up, I will be uploading my NBA video for the playoff slate, 3-game playoff slate on Thursday. So make sure you check all 3 of those videos out. I would really appreciate it, guys. Hopefully you enjoy, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck.